Yo! It's Floppish back. Due to some demand, I will be making a part for the third C, which is the C that we will cover through today. But if you haven't seen my videos about the second and first C, be sure to check them out after this video. But for this video, I will be giving 6 super useful tips for if you are in the third C. With all that said, let's get into tip number 1. This is probably one of the most useful tips on the list. But if you're in the third C, you should be focused on leveling up obviously. And you should also grind for the endgame items. But when I'm talking about items, I'm talking about swords, guns, fighting styles, and accessories. The endgame items are obviously the best items in the game. But some examples of the endgame items are the Soul Guitar Gun, Curse Dual Katana and Shark Anchor Sword, Sanguinard and G Human Fighting Styles, and Hunter Cape Accessory. There are countless more endgame items, but it will take too long to mention them all. The endgame items are not only the best items in the game, but they are the strongest for PvP as well. Having the endgame items can unlock so many combos and so many one-shot combos, which is a must-have for PvP. Not only that, but the moves of the endgame items deal a lot of damage as well. And some have unique abilities such as life stealing. And some are great combo starters and combo extenders. Overall, if you are new to the third C, I would recommend you save your money and buy some of the endgame items, for their great benefits in both grinding, PvP and overall Blox Fruits experience. However, some items may require you to be a certain level to unlock it, so yeah. But that is all for tip number 1. Let's move on to tip number 2, which is also important but overlooked. If you are close to being max, I'd say like level 2100 plus, then you can skip to tip number 3. But if you are new to third C, I don't recommend you to PvP at all. Because there will be super sweaty bounty hunters, with the most broken and spammable fruits, trying to hunt you down. You're just wasting your time, if you try to fight back. Because they have every advantage against you. Most bounty hunters will be max level already, and they will most likely have a super broken fruit for PvP. So there is literally no point in fighting back. Don't be too salty when they attack you and kill you, because you will have a 20-minute PvP cooldown, which means that you will be immune to players for 20 minutes. There's nothing else to say about this tip. You can also apply this tip if you are in the second C. But let's move on to tip number 3. Raid bosses are a special type of boss in the third C. When they are spawned, be sure to never sleep on them. They can be spawned by using an item, or killing an amount of NPCs to spawn the boss. For example, you will need the chalice to spawn the Rip Indra boss. And when a raid boss spawns, there will be a special text on the screen. For example, when someone spawns a Rip Indra boss, it will say a barrier has been broken in the chat or at the top of the screen. There are 4 raid bosses in the third C. They are the Rip Indra boss, Cake Prince, Dough King, and Soul Reaper boss. I will be covering the first 3 though. These raid bosses give you heaps of rewards if you kill them. You can expect to get money, fragments from all of the raid bosses I've mentioned, but I will tell you all of the special things you can unlock from killing that boss, starting with the Rip_Indra boss. If you kill this boss, you will be able to teleport through these portals, which can take you to the Hydra Island, Floating Turtle Island, and the Castle on the Sea, which is super useful for traveling around the third C. Next, you can talk to the Sealed King. If you've defeated the Rip Indra boss, the Sealed King is the first step to start your Race V4 quest and unlocking Race V4. And lastly, you can get the Dark Dagger Sword and Valkyrie accessory. But we shall move on to the Cake Prince and Dough King. The Cake Prince and Dough King can give you the Pale Scarf accessory and Spiky Trident Sword. However, the Dough King can give much more than that. On top of that, defeating the Dough King can give you the red key, which is needed to unlock the Dough Raid, which can be used to awaken the Dough Fruit. Defeating the Dough King can also give the Mirror Fractal, which is needed for the Race V4 quest. Overall, if you see a chat message or a message at the top of your screen and you know that it's a raid boss, be sure to not sleep on it, especially if you are new to the third C. Because it will unlock a lot of opportunities, and you will get a lot of free bonus rewards and items along the way. But let's move on to tip number 4. I'll try to make this tip brief, as I've already covered it in my second C tips video. But the reason why you want to use a good setup is to farm levels as efficiently as possible. and it will help you get to max level much quicker. But here's what you need for your setup. Firstly, you will need to boot a fruit. And you are going to utilize the fruit's transformation. Next, you will need a fighting style. I recommend you use Water Kung Fu, and upgrade it to the Sharkman Karate fighting style. Or if you're on a budget you can use Electric and upgrade it to Electric Claw in the 3rd C. You will be using your fighting style to deal your damage by the way. Last but not least, you will need to reset your stats and put them on melee and defense. After that, you are basically done. You can use a race like Ghoul to spice up your setup, but it's up to you. Let's move on to tip number 5. The 3rd C has a lot of special quest lines and things to explore. These quest lines can give you some of the best items in the game. If you're bored of grinding, or you're maxed already, then I recommend you do these quests. There are a lot of special quests in the 3rd C. Some notable ones include the Cursed Dual Katana quest, Soul Guitar quest, Race V4 quest, Observation V2 quest. You could also explore the seas and do the sea events, which can give you a lot of OP gear such as the Shark Anchor, and the Sanguine Art fighting style, but you will need 5 million to even buy the Sanguine Art fighting style. You can also get the Kitsune related items, such as the Fox Lamp, Kitsune Mask, and even the Kitsune Fruit from finding the Kitsune Shrine, which is hidden far in the seas. But the only downside with this tip is, you will need to be over level 2300 to do all of these quests, which is a lot of levels, so you gotta get grinding. But let's move on to tip number 6. The Elite Hunter NPC is an NPC that spawns every 10 minutes. The Elite Hunter can spawn in multiple islands, such as the Floating Turtle, Hydra Island, and Great Tree Island. But it will most likely spawn in the Floating Turtle Island. In order to know where the Elite Hunter NPC is, make sure to talk to the Elite Hunter quest giver at the castle on the sea. Once you talk to him, he will either say I don't have anything for you right now, that means that the Elite Hunter NPC is dead. Or he will say, we heard some news that this Elite Hunter was roaming around, and it will say he was last seen at one of the 3 islands I mentioned earlier. Once you get the quest and the location, just head to that island and kill the Elite Hunter. Once killed, the Elite Hunter will give you 25,000 money, a chance for the Hunter Cape or Bandana, and a small chance to give you the Chalice. The Chalice can be used to spawn the Rip Indra raid boss. Or it can be turned into a Cake Chalice, which you can use to spawn the Dokkan raid boss. If you manage to kill 30 Elite Hunters, you will be able to get the Yama Sword, which is a good sword for PvP, and you need the Yama Sword to obtain the Cursed Dual Katana. Overall, always make sure to check the Elite Hunter quest giver to see if the Elite Hunter is still alive. Because when you kill the Elite Hunter, you will get the chance of getting heaps of sweet rewards. Never sleep on the Elite Hunter quests. So that is probably the end of this series. Until they add a 4th C at least. But thank you all for watching to the end. Make sure to subscribe, like and comment on something that you've learned or something that you thought was useful. Other than that, Floppish out boys.